Good morning, my dear friends. My name is Anil Kashyap, and today I'm going to read the chapter 5 How Far is the River? So, the writer of this river is Ruskin Bond, who shares his experience about the river in his hometown. Okay, living in the hills or near the green forests or near the sea does, of course, make it easier to engage with the natural world. As a boy and then as a young man, a sense of adventure often took me down unknown roads to experiences that were often memorable. Encounters with the larger animals, such as the leopard, were rare. But in the hills, there is always something new waiting for you around the next bend. Here, the bend means turn, okay? For at every bend, the entire vista is altered. And vista means a pleasing view, a view that pleases you. Okay, vista means a pleasing view, a view that pleases you. Yeah. But in the hills, there is always something new waiting for you around the next bend. For at every bend, the vista is altered. As our perspective changes too, we walk close to nature. We come to a better understanding of life. For it is from the natural world that we first engaged, emerged, and to which we still belong. Okay, but people nowadays prefer to live in the man made world or cities, as you may say it, but the natural world is much more, what should I say, humane. Humane means human like. No, it is not more human like, it is more uh, healthy for us. It has oxygen, it has natural fruit, it has many things that are natural. It is basically more healthy for us, for our human body, for our body, for everything. Okay, between the boy and the river was a mountain. I was a small boy and it was a small river, but the mountain was big. The thickly forested mountain hid the river, but I knew it was there and what it looked like. I had never seen the river with my own eyes, but from the villagers I had heard of it. Of the fish in its water, of its rocks and currents and and waterfalls. And it only remained for me to touch the water and know it personally. I stood in front of our house on the hill opposite the mountain and gazed across the valley, dreaming of the river. I was barefooted not because I couldn't afford shoes, but because I felt free, with my feet bare, because I liked the feeling of warm stones and cool grass, because not wearing shoes saved me the trouble of taking them off. It was 11 o'clock in the morning, and I knew my parents wouldn't be home till evening. There was a loaf of bread I could take with me, and on the way I might find some fruit. Here was my chance. I had been waiting for. It would not come again for a long time because it was seldom that my father and mother visited friends for the entire day. If I if I came back before dark, they wouldn't know where I had been. I went into the house and wrapped the loaf of bread in a newspaper. Then I closed all the doors and windows. The path to the river dropped steeply into the valley. What does steeply mean? Steeply means sharply, like. Wait, let me just do some things. Yeah, this one. No, not this one. This one and this one. Okay. No, not these. Let me just explain it to you using some stones that I had gathered. Yeah. Yeah, look. So imagine these two are mountains, okay? They are like this. The valley means everyone knows what does a valley mean, right? The place where a river where where the two mountains connect is a valley. Okay, so the path through the river followed dropped steeply into the valley. Steeply means sharply. Like here, it is a sharp drop. Okay. Oh, yeah. Here it is a sharp drop right here. Okay. It is just like it just goes here, and it is just a sharp drop. Okay. So it is just how this is explained in it. Goes drop the path to the river steep dropped steeply into the valley, then rose and went round the big mountain. It was frequently used by the villagers, woodcutters, milkmen, shepherds, mule drivers, but there were no villages beyond the mountain or near the river. I passed a woodcutter and asked him how far it was to the river. He was short, powerful man with a creased and withered face and muscles that stood out in hard lumps. Lumps here means mounds of muscles, mountains of muscles. Okay. 7 miles, he said. Why do you want to know? I am going there, I said. Alone? Of course. Why not? Why not is not written it, but I just said why not. Okay. It will take you 3 hours to reach it, and then you come back. It will be getting dark. It is not an easy road, but I am a good walker, I said, though I never walked further than the 2 miles between our house and my school. I left the woodcutter on the path and continued down the hill. It was dizzy. It was a dizzy, winding path. Winding means in a circular way or in a twisting way. Okay. And I slipped once or twice, slid into a bush or down a slope of slippery pine needles. So the trees in the mountainous region are basically in a cone shape. They are basically kind of in this shape. Okay. Why are they like this? So that in the winter seasons when the snow drops, the snow does not get stuck on its leaves and block the photosynthesis. It is shaped like this so that the snow can fall off and still the plant can do photosynthesis. Okay. The hill was covered with lush green ferns, and the trees were entangled in creepers. And great wild dahlia would suddenly rear its golden head from the leaves and ferns. Soon I was in the valley, and the path of straightened out and then began to mm, rise. Okay. So soon the boy was in the valley, and the path began to go in a straight manner and then began to rise like this. Okay. So basically there were more than one mountains in the way of the river and the boy. Okay. The boy had to climb those mountains, and the distance between the boy and the river was exactly 7 miles, and a mile is greater than a kilometer. Okay. The trees were entangled in creepers, and a great white dahlia would suddenly rear its golden head from the leaves and ferns. Soon I was in the valley. The path straightened out and then began to rise. I met a girl who was coming from the opposite direction. She held a scythe, with which she had been cutting grass. There were rings in her nose, with which there there were rings in her nose and ears, mm, her arms were covered with heavy bangles. The bangles made music when she moved her wrists. It was though as her hands spoke a language of their own. The boy felt like the girl's hand mm, spoke a language of their own. Okay. The girl had probably never been to the river, or she may have been thinking of another one because she no after he saw the girl. Ruskin Bond asked, "How far is it to the river?" I asked. The girl had probably never been to the river, or she may have been thinking of another one because she said, 20 miles, without any hesitation. I laughed and ran down the path. A parrot screeched suddenly, flew low over my head, a flash of blue and green. It took the course of the path and I followed it in its dipping flight, running until the path rose and the bird disappeared amongst the trees. A trickle of water came down the hillside. I stopped to drink. The water was cold and sharp but very refreshing. But I was soon thirsty again. The sun was striking the side of the hill. The sun was striking the side of the hill, and the dusty path became hotter. The stones scorching my feet. I was sure I had covered half the distance. I had been walking for over an hour. Presently, I saw another boy ahead of me, driving a few goats down the path. How far is the river? I asked. He smiled and said, "Oh, not far, just round the next hill and straight down." Feeling hungry, I unwrapped my loaf of bread and broke it into two, offering one half to the boy. We sat on the hillside and ate in silence. When we had finished, we walked on together and began talking. I did not notice the smarting of my feet. Now, here, smarting means hurting, okay? The smarting of my feet and the heat of the sun, the distance I had covered and the distance I was yet to cover. But after some time, my companion had to take another path, and once more I was on my own. I missed the village boy. I looked up and down the mountain path, but no one else was in sight. My own home was hidden from the view by the side of the mountain, and there was no sign of the river. I began to feel discouraged. If someone had been with me, I would never have floated, but alone I was conscious of my fatigue and isolation. But I had come more than halfway, and I couldn't turn back. I had to see the river. If I failed, I would always be a little ashamed of the experience. So I walked on past stone huts and mm, terraced fields until there were no more fields or huts, only forest and sun and loneliness. There were no men and no sign of man's influence, only trees and rocks and grass and small flowers and silence. The silence was impressive and a little frightening. There was no movement except for the bending of grass beneath my feet and the circling of hawk against the blind blue of the sky. Then, as I rounded a sharp bend, I heard the sound of water. I gasped with surprise and happiness and began to run. I slipped and stumbled, but I kept on running until I was able to plunge in the snow cold mountain water. And the water was blue and white and wonderful. So, the author is Ruskin Bond and he wrote about his experience near a river. So, that was all for today's video. Bye and have a nice day, and good luck for your exams.